The gap between the rich and the poor is getting wider. You've got a small group of people who have more money than they know what to do with, whilst a huge chunk of people are hustling every day just to make ends meet. The gap is growing between the super rich and, well, pretty much everyone else. And to add even more salt to the wound, this situation is playing out over and over again around the world. A report found that during the pandemic, 573 people became billionaires, one every 30 hours. Studies expect that this year, 263 million more people will fall into extreme poverty at a rate of about 1 million every 33 hours. While these billionaires are celebrating their wealth spike, a lot of people are actually going backwards in terms of poverty, struggling more than ever with rising food and energy costs. A study stated that in the first 2 years of COVID-19, billionaires' wealth increased more than it did in the previous 23 years. Now their total wealth equals 13.9 of global GDP, which is a huge jump from the 4.4 back in 2000. Now, billionaires aren't richer because they're smarter or working harder. It's the ordinary people who are pushing themselves more for less pay and in poorer conditions. The wealthy have manipulated the system for decades by creating monopolies, cutting regulations and workers' rights, and avoiding taxes with the help of the relevant governments. Meanwhile, millions are having to cut down on basic necessities, struggling to keep their homes warm and falling behind on bills. Now, why should we care about this? Because this inequality touches every part of our lives, from the quality of our schools and hospitals to our chances of owning a home or even feeling secure about the future. Imagine trying to run a race where some people get a huge head start. They've got the best running shoes, the best training, and a clear path ahead. Meanwhile, others are at the starting line with flip-flops, no map, and they've got to wait a bit before they can even start running. That's kind of like what wealth inequality does to us. It makes the playing field super uneven. Now, at the moment, the richest 10% of people in the UK own about 57% of all this wealth, while the bottom half only has less than 5% of it shared among them. What's more, about a quarter of the people don't have any wealth. Instead, they're trying to manage debts. So as the rich get richer, the gap between the wealthy and the not so wealthy gets wider. And it looks like there's no easy fix for this in the kind of economic system we have here in the UK right now. Some people in the UK have suggested heavier taxes on the rich, or making them pay more through things like capital gains tax. But as you know, these ideas haven't really taken off. The idea of taxing wealth is seen by some as attacking successful people, instead of working together for everyone's benefit. While there might be some truth in these views, they miss the larger problem. Wealth inequality messes up a lot of things and leads to bigger issues for everyone, not just the poor. In simple terms, when people have a lot of money, they often don't use it to do things that will help the economy grow, like starting new businesses. Instead, they might just buy property to make more money without really earning it. Looking at how different groups of people are affected, wealth inequality makes existing problems worse, especially when it comes to race and gender. For example, the Runnymede Trust found that Black Africans and Bangladeshi families in the UK are much poorer compared to white British families. And women usually have less wealth than men, about 40% less, according to Liz Mann from the London School of Economics. Basically, if there are already unfair differences between people, having or not having money makes these differences even bigger. Wealth inequality also goes against the idea that everyone in Britain should have a fair shot based on their merit or what they deserve. If you come from a rich family, you're more likely to get advantages that you haven't really earned, like better education or a first home. These benefits come from family support, which doesn't seem wrong to those who give it or receive it. This creates an unfair playing field where your chances of success are much higher if you already have money, making it harder for everyone else to get ahead. So another issue with how things are going wrong is how it messes with democracy and the idea that everyone's voice should matter. People who don't have money feel left out because politics seems to be controlled by those who do have money. This makes people distrustful and feels like the system is rigged, which it pretty much is. This isn't just about having enough cash to go on fancy vacations or buy the latest phone. It's about real everyday stuff. Like, can you afford a decent place to live, good food, medical care when you're sick, and education for your children? When wealth is concentrated in the hands of a few, it means a lot of people are missing out on these basics. So what can we do about it? It's a big question, and there's no one-size-fits-all answer. Some people say we need better policies that help spread wealth more evenly. Things like higher minimum wages, better access to education and healthcare for everyone. Others focus on the importance of community efforts, like supporting local businesses and creating programs that help people help themselves. Some suggests looking at ways to share wealth more broadly, like a sovereign wealth fund or giving everyone a basic income. At the end of the day, wealth inequality is about making sure everyone has a fair shot at a good life, not just the lucky few. And getting there means talking about it, understanding it, and working together to make changes that give everyone a chance to succeed. If you enjoyed my content, please hit the like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks very much.